Hello, my name is Jeff Jamiolo, and today we're going to talk about your spiritual gifts. Your spiritual gifts are gifts provided to you by Source, by God, to help humanity, and really the reason you have them actually is to make people better, to help the world, and to give credit to the universe or to God. So he gets the credit for it because he gave them to you. So that's really why you have them. Now, what gifts actually are? Well, in the Bible, actually, it says wise counsel, which obviously is the ability to provide good advice. Clear understanding, which is the ability to understand problems from a different perspective to where it's knowledgeable. Simple trust, which is the ability for people to trust you, such as some people you just trust with a handshake, and that's simple trust. Healing the sick. Healing the sick is kind of odd because it could be a doctor, it could be anybody, it could be a tarot reader. It's kind of bizarre about it is healing the sick, depending what, you could be a musician. But healing the sick is, healing people. Miraculous acts. Usually when I think about that, I kind of think like Elon Musk. Well, he's very smart, and it appears that miracles just happen around him because he thinks a lot about them, and he gets inspired to do those things. Proclamation. You can almost think that's like inspiring people to do things. I think of it more of Tony Robbins kind of thing, inspiring people to be better people. Now, there's some I can't say because I don't know of any in real life, but distinguishing between spirit tongues is spirits speak different languages and determining which tongue it is. And actually, the next one is interpretation of those tongues. So, I don't know. I do not really speak to spirits, so nor do I speak to hobgoblins, elves. So I don't know. To me, it's all foreign to me. But there are people that do that because when you listen to or you hear about priests that do exorcisms, they do actually involve them spirits talking in tongues. Another gift actually is divination, is the ability to see into the future, whether for yourself or others. Usually most people actually can, if you get some tarot cards, you can usually actually do your own fortune without much issue because your spirit team helps you with that. You're just asking questions of your spirit team, really. Others, it gets a little more messy and complicated. But there's also for artistic talent, musical talent, intellect, problem solving. Those are all examples of gifts that people have, that a lot of people have. What's ironic about that is I do believe everyone gets them. Everyone has them when they're young. Some people choose to not use them. And like anything else, when you don't use them, they go away. You'll get them back, maybe, but usually it's more of a game of alignment after that. So, but technically everyone gets them. Just a small, quirky little history lesson. Even the most evil person in the world actually had spiritual gifts. I'm talking about a person who was born in Austria. His name was Adolf Hitler. For a large part, killed a lot of people during World War II. However, he was a painter in Vienna and had the talent. And what God will do is actually God will go over, and if you're going in the wrong direction, he'll take it away. And that's actually for real great reasons, because creativity and artistic talent go hand in hand. And if you're going to do evil, we'd rather not you be very creative in doing evil, if you catch my drift. So the Lord usually takes that away real quick. Real quick. Now, the drawback to that is you can always find other people who still have the gift, or pretend to have the gift. And that's a totally different animal. I'm not going there right now. But that is the story of all of Hitler. So even pretty much the most hated man back in the 40s had spiritual gifts. Even quirkier than that, as much as he hated a lot of people, he loved his dog and he loved his mistress. So there was love somewhere in there. Go figure. But we're back to who gets them, and pretty much everybody. The only time you don't get them is if you lose them. Let me give you an example. Hypothetically, you have the gift of divination. You get to divinate. You get to divinate and see people's future. You find out that you don't like your teacher. You don't like them. You think they're just total. You just don't like them. So you go over and you look at their future, and you find out that on a certain day they're going to go over and buy a lottery ticket, and they're going to win $10,000. You say, okay. So knowing that information, you go over the morning of, you go over and you flatten all four of the person's tires. Bad toad. Other than getting horrible karma for that. Literally, mind you were probably warned not to do what you're going to do. And you've gotten warnings, and you might even lose your gifts over that. Because you use divination to cause harm to another. Or to steal from them. Pick which one you like. Now, what's interesting about that is, like most things in the spiritual realm, there is actually a second chance model for that. To where if you literally sat there and thought about it, you go, oh yeah, I messed up. And you really changed your life. You got back into alignment with the universe and with God, and you got back into alignment so that you're both on the same page again. What'll happen is in the courts of heaven, your ancestors will petition on your behalf to get your gifts back. You don't have to do much of anything other than do the right thing. Now, that being said, they'll petition on your behavior. They'll petition that, and what'll end up happening is the powers that be, whether it be the universe, source, God, will actually pretty much will give you a test. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe three. But they'll test you a couple times to see if you really did change. And if you changed, more power to you. Now, if at that point they give you the gifts, life is good, and then for some reason after that, if you decide you want to, go rogue and do your thing and abuse them again, I'm pretty sure you'll never get them back. Because, to be blunt, your ancestors are not about to go to blat with you anymore. Matter of fact, you're probably going to be penalized by your ancestors, because every time you do kind of bad things on the earth realm, and spiritually, your ancestors are defending you. Eventually, you're going to do enough stuff that they're even embarrassed that you even did it. To where, disown you. We're not related no more. Which means I'm not going to help fight your battles. Which means you're in the spirit realm fighting your own battles. And that does not look too good. Because when it comes down to the earth plane, that means you're in pretty much misery at that point. But if you think of it that way, you say, well, don't look a gift horse in the mouth and want to take advantage of the situation. If you want to change, change. But usually, as I said, there's petitions for the courts of heaven, and your ancestors do that automatically. Now, oddly enough, for 10 years plus, years ago, and I'm talking at least 10 years, I heard the same saying every day, and it was, talent is on loan from God. Rush Limbaugh used to say that on his show every day. Every time he was on, his talent was on loan from God. I would laugh, but I understand what it meant. It's an accurate statement. The only thing I would want to add to that is, and then I die and I give that talent back to God. It's his. You kind of just loaned it. And usually he'll give it to somebody else. Or if you have you were mentoring somebody, maybe it goes that way. I don't know. But realistically, all talent is on loan from God. We should kind of pay attention to that. Now, I do have to say that your spiritual gifts, a lot of people have more than one. Some people have just one, some have more than one. As I said, you can get them back. I would strongly encourage anybody who, think back to when you were a child. What were you good at? And try it again as an adult. If it's not quite working, find out what happened when you were a kid that stopped it from working. Was it you? Probably not. Could be your parents, or it could be your upbringing. But I would explore that and try to heal that, because usually if you're healed, you'll get your gifts back. That's usually how it works. Well, that's the way it usually works. Now, if you're pretending to heal, well, can't help that. Other thing to note that my first job, professional job in software development, I actually worked for a Fortune 500 company in Buffalo. And what was funny about the situation is, after about a couple months, I said, I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh while I was at work, because it's really better to do while waiting for things. So for the most part, I would, listen to it, and it occurred to me one day, I get paid to do this. And it may seem odd. I go, but I love what I do. I love working with computers. I love solving the problems. I'm a problem solver in that way. So to me, it's not really work. So when I quote, go to work, I'm just solving problems. No different than if I went home, solve problems there. And I do the same thing at home too. I solve problems. I enjoy solving problems, and I solve problems. And that's what's the bizarre part about it is when you finally realize that wherever your passion is, that's generally where the money is, because you put a lot of effort in there. What I've also learned is during an interview, especially if you're in something you're passionate about, when you're in something that you're passionate about, during the interview they could hear it. It sounds in your voice. There's a reflection on it. And that inflection in your voice rings out to the person who's interviewing you. It says, well, indirectly it says, I can take advantage of you. But it also says, basically, because you love what you do, you'll put in extra time to make things work, to make his problems that they're trying to solve go away. And that is usually what they get in interviews. Like I've learned in life, if you're passionate about anything, whether it's dancing, painting, whatever, it should be fairly easy to convert that to making money. If not, you need to work on that. There's alignment issues between you and the Lord. So the Lord hooks you up a lot on that. So I strongly encourage everyone to go over and find out what you're good at. Find out what your spiritual gifts are. Spiritual gift, you could have common sense. It's not so common anymore, so common sense, and I forgot to add that in there. But there's a lot of little quirky things, like the gift of noticing, paying attention and noticing things. I swear the Lord keeps making them up. But what's interesting about it is the more you have, the more it kind of guides you in life where to go. But I would definitely look and see what you can do with your life and find out how to correct yourself and go back to your gifts, because your gifts are very valuable. I see a lot of people out in the workforce that I only do this because it's a job. And I consider that a very miserable life. because literally you have no real want to be there. It is, I'm just occupying time to be there, and there's no passion at all. So it's like you could be out fishing. It's just something. It's just very weird for me to see. But I do believe everyone does have a passion, and everyone does have spiritual gifts. So I strongly encourage you to find yours. Have a great day.